Welcome to Let Freedom Ring. Before we start anything, I just want to say happy birthday to my nephew, Brady Bollier, turning 10 today.
Woo! Happy birthday.
I cannot believe that, wow, 10 years goes really fast.
10 years is quick.
And we also want to say good news. We've heard DeMar Hamlin of the Buffalo Bills. Everybody was, pretty much everybody was watching Monday Night Football. Yeah. That was one of the scariest things we've seen. I even said I had like flashbacks of what happened with Owen Hart. But what we're hearing is that he's awake. He can actually write and respond. So praying for you, and hope you get better. And life is bigger than sports. But my guests today, we got Sonny Goodspeed and Will Duncan. A.k.a. Billy Duncan, I should say.
Yeah, come on.
But no, pleasure to have you guys. There's a lot to talk about with the World Federation of America coming back, the Elite Pro Wrestling Academy. But I want to know a little bit first. I know you've both been on the show, but it's been a while. Just tell us a little bit about your wrestling background. Sonny,
So I started training with Jeff Costa, better known as the Lobster Man, 30 years ago in his backyard. I met him at the Boston Garden. He ended up living up the street from me, and it was like what do they call it, serendipity or whatever, right? So just all the planets aligned, and I trained with him for a year and a half, 2 years, just literally before we even got in the ring. It was a year, just watching matches, breaking them down, learning the psychology of why to do this, why to do that, and then we started running shows right in Hudson, New Hampshire, and here we are, 30 years later.
That's very good. So were you both at the show as like fan? Was it a wrestling show?
It was. It was we were at the TD Garden watching. It was Boston Garden then, and we were watching wrestling. It was not a sold out house. It was a Sunday afternoon matinee show or something like that, and somebody was passing out flyers. Actually, what he wanted to do originally was a full contact. Like, remember? Well, you're too young, but back in the day, there used to be this thing called UWFI or something like that in Japan, where it was a half worked, half shoot promotion. So you'd like throw stiff kicks, throw punches.
Oh wow.
Grapple, but still the finish was predetermined or whatever, right? Yeah. So that's what he wanted to do, and I was 20 years old. I was like, yeah, I'm in. I was like, yeah, whatever, right? You want me to knock some heads? I'll knock some heads.
Yeah.
So I went and we talked to him, and me and my buddies, and then we ended up going to his house that next weekend, and there was like 5 or 6 guys there, and I'm out of shape clearly, but I'm an athletic guy, and back then especially, I was athletic, so I was quick, strong as an ox, and I did have a little amateur wrestling. Like, I just knew some stuff. So when we started this, I was smoking everybody. Yeah. So at the end of the practice, Jeff's like, "Oh, this isn't going to work." He goes, "Hey, who wants to learn how to wrestle like you see on TV, and who wants to continue to do what we're doing?" I was the only one that raised my hand for both. I was like, "I don't care, I'll do anything." The other guys were like, "No, let's learn that stuff on TV." And that was it for me. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. And Will, how about you? I know you're more new into wrestling.
I am. I've been training for just over a year now. December of 2021. I think it was probably a few weeks after I came on your show last time. Been training up at Elite Pro Wrestling Academy up in Concord, New Hampshire. Great trainers, Mike Hollow, Scott Reed, Sonny Goodspeed. If you know anything about professional wrestling around here, lineage of 3 really well-known guys between Killer Kowalski, Mofo Steve Bradley, and Jeff Costa. So it's been great so far. Finally kind of broke in, started getting booked in stuff October, I think, or so.
October, I think was the first.
Worked I think 5 or 6 shows, within a month and a half, and then kind of took the month of December off. New dad, family man, trying to just enjoy the holidays, I guess. But so there's that. And growing up, I had a amateur, wrestling background. Boys and Girls Club growing up with Dan, and then as I got older, extreme sports, skateboarding, snowboarding, like jumping off and stuff, liked,
hardcore parkour.
Yeah, liked heavy music. So it's just kind of, evolution. And then as I got older, it came back and was like, hey, if not now, when? So decided to take a stab at it, and here we are.
Now, I got to applaud you because we had you on the show over a year ago.
Yeah.
And we were talking off air. You were saying, I really think I want to go to wrestling school, and I think you were talking to some places. So I got to applaud you. It's amazing what you're doing. The Let Freedom Ring supports Billy Duncan to the fullest. Just so you know that.
That sounds like a sponsorship.
We're not plugging anything.
Yes.
Don't buy his merchandise.
Don't buy anything.
I just want to ask one more question. I know, Will, you're more new into the business. Sonny, what are your greatest accomplishments that you feel like you've had in the wrestling business?
This is going to sound so bizarre. So I've wrestled both as a good guy and a bad guy, and my greatest accomplishments are the same. As a good guy, I was able to get people to cry because I was getting beat up. And then as a bad guy, I was able to get people to cry because I was beating up the good guy. I think that's the greatest thing. To be able to take a crowd and bring them on that roller coaster with you and manipulate them, there's no other feeling like it. I can only equate it to, like, imagine being Bruce Springsteen playing at the Garden. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're controlling whatever it is, 14,000 people, 18,000 people. Mm-hmm. And when he says, put your hands in the air, and he does this thing here, and 18,000 people are up there with you, like, it's, even if it's only 150 people, that vibe it gives you, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. It's magical. There's really, I don't know how else to explain it. Like, being that center of attention, but bringing it on yourself, as opposed to, like, showing up at a surprise party and people go, oh, surprise, and all of a sudden you're the center of attention. That I don't like. Yeah. But you give me the control, you put me in a room and say, all right, Sonny, do your thing, I'm good. I can do that, right? But yeah, that's been I talk about it all the time. I love being able to make that kid cry. I love it. I love it. It's so good.
There's got to be something about being a performer, like, and being in front of a crowd. I've never acted or anything like that. Most I've ever really done is cut promos on people for softball on Facebook. But there's got to be something about that interaction with the crowd where, like you said, you're like, I'm affecting this audience member.
Yeah.
Whether it's good or bad, I'm getting that reaction.
Yeah. So. Whether they're cheering for you or booing for you, you're eliciting that reaction. Oh yeah. And it's awesome.
And being able to just go out there and feed off of whatever energy is or isn't there in that moment and play to it and try to either get the crowd back up or you know, get them to react to however you want them to, has been really, just super interesting and really just awesome feeling when it actually works. Yeah. So.
How are you feeling that the crowds are reacting to you so far?
So, I mean, the night I debuted, it was great because I had friends and family who knew I was going to be there, knew that I was going to be in this match, so that was great. Come out, have cheers, get more eyes on the product. People who haven't been to a professional wrestling show in probably 10, 15 years went and were like, wow, that was great. Like, you did awesome. But even being able to go out to a room full of people who have never seen you before, have no idea who Billy Duncan is. And, by the end of that, hopefully they remember your name. So I think in October, I worked for Pat Dillon, UFO Wrestling in Amesbury, Mass. And it was cool. First match of the night, got out there, had a fun time. Coolest thing though, intermission, go out, Sonny's out there, Coach Hollow's out there, say hi, hey, how'd I do, this and that. That was great and everything. But even cooler than that is you go up and you just walk around and you have a 7-8-year-old kid walk up to you and go, hey, can I get a picture with you? Like that, you were awesome. Cool, and just being like, whoa, like it clicks and you're like, okay, like you might not think you're somebody to, something to anybody, but to that little kid right there, you just played the part of a hero, or a villain, which, this guy.
So good. It's
one of the greatest things about pro wrestling.
Yeah. And once that happened, it kind of clicked for me. I'm like, okay, I get it. Like it's,
There's nothing like it. And you can't explain, like I can't tell you how to do it. You just have to be able to do it. There's one of those things you can't teach, right? You just have to know instinctually. Like, I used to hate when, we're on shows and guys would come back and be like, oh, this crowd sucks tonight. This crowd sucks tonight. I'm like, no, you suck tonight, right? Because you're going out there wrestling for yourself.
Yeah.
These people are paying to be entertained. You have to wrestle for them, you know? And a lot of guys just don't get that. They think they go out there and just, if I do my cool moves, they're going to respond. But same reason you watch TV shows, you want to be emotionally invested in it, right? I talk about Sons of Anarchy, one of my favorite shows of all time. I think it's one of the best shows of all time. I used to have to pause it because it was giving me stress.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, just
I'd be like, multiple occasions that's happened to me too.
This is a fake TV show. What the hell am I doing? I'm sweating. I'm like, I put it on pause. I'd go up, pace. My wife would like, what are you doing? I'm like, Sons of Anarchy. I need a 5-minute break. And that's the same kind of thing, right? You want to be emotionally involved. If you're paying, you want to be entertained, right? So you don't go to the circus to just sit there and, hope everybody fails and, put the thumbs down, right? You want to be entertained. You want to have a good time. It's...
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I agree with that. And wrestling has all of that. It has, and when people are like, I don't get why you like that stuff, I go, you're crazy.
Yeah.
You get involved, Is there sometimes things are boring? Sure.
Yes.
But when it's good, it's good.
It's great.
And we want to talk about this because it's the big thing why you guys are here. You guys got a big weekend coming up in Hooksett, Nashua. We're not saying to go to it, don't worry. But we're saying we got the return of Wrestling Federation of America. Again, we're saying this is the return. This is already happened. Sonny, I know you can speak to it better than me and Will. What's the history of this promotion?
So we're actually calling 2023 WFA Reborn. We have roughly 40 shows booked. For a company to come out of the gate with 40 shows booked is insane. It's a huge undertaking. But WFA was started by a gentleman named Steve Bradley, who was essentially, he was a 16-year-old kid from Raymond. Jeff Costa and I saw him on a show. He used to run wrestling shows called Kids Wrestling Federation. We heard that he was running a show at the Hudson Lions Hall. So we go, we're going to go check this out. Steve, at 16 years old, put on this show. Now, it's a 16-year-old show of untrained professionals, but that kid ran such a tight ship at this show. I could hear him yelling at the other teenage kids in the back about blowing spots and missing things, and just like it was amazing, right? So we talked to him and we're like, well, let's come up to the gym, let's train a little bit, and then we'll start using it on the shows. So as we started booking the shows, or Jeff started booking the shows, we actually ended up bringing him in. He worked with the tag team with Bob Evans, Brutal Bob Evans. I
know Bob Evans.
I think they were, because Steve was going by Super. I think Steve was super bad then.
Okay.
So they were like, some tag team thing. They had matching gear and everything. And Steve, again, was at this point 17, 18 years old. And passion for this business. That quickly got noticed. He got picked up by a couple of local guys, Eugenio, Joe Eugenio and Silvano Souza, and they ran a lot of the South Coast stuff. But they had connections with WWF at the time. And, it was WWF at the time. So they... So he got seen by a couple of guys like Jim Cornette and whatever, and I think it was Jim Cornette that said, hey, this kid isn't quite ready for TV yet, but we can't let him slip through the cracks, right? So Steve, I might be wrong on this, but I don't think I am. I think he was essentially the first developmental contract guy.
With OVW?
No, this is before that.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So, like, they were running shows. They called them dojo shows.
Oh, wow.
So at the schools at Stanford, they had a ring downstairs, and then they started using Mike Sparta, not Mike Sparta, Freddie Sparta would run shows. Freddie Sparta was an old referee for them, so he was running shows out here in the Northeast, or New England. So they'd say, all right, book this kid, and you'd see a young Edge and Christian there. You'd see a young Val Venus there. You'd see Matt Bloom, who at the time was working as like the Mongolian or something like that, right? So you'd see all these guys come in, like, and these are all this first crew of guys that were getting signed. Not quite ready for TV yet, but don't want to lose them, right? So they sign them to these minimal contracts, so WCW wouldn't sign them up, or ECW or whatever. And so Steve ended up going to Cincinnati. He worked in Cincinnati a lot, and then he went to Memphis. He actually, Kurt Angle credits Steve Bradley for helping him learn professional wrestling. They roomed together and stuff.
It's just a crazy story, because I had Mav explain this too on the show, Maverick Wild, for those out there. This guy, Steve Bradley, is very, very important to the lineage of New England wrestling.
Oh yeah, super important.
And this was the company that he essentially started.
Yeah, yep. So he ended up getting let go because they were just like, we just don't know what to do with them. There's a ton of like almost, and it just didn't work out. So he got let go. He came home. I remember I was talking to him, and he goes, "Man, I'm going to open a school and start my own promotion." And I was like, "Do it."
Great.
2 days later, he has a building in Manchester. He's starting a school, and then he's starting a show. And I remember the first show was in Littleton, New Hampshire, at the Opera House. And
I've seen the photos there. That looks like a cool place to wrestle.
It is the best facility. It is so cool. But I remember being part of that first show, and the energy in that building, nobody was doing the stuff that Steve was doing, like the production end of it. Like he had a screen, like a production screen. Nobody was doing that around here. He had
like the Titantron.
Yeah, he had entrances.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Nobody was doing that kind of stuff. Steve was the first guy. The energy in that building just was insane. Again, that same thing. Like, you got goosebumps thinking about it, right? And being there was just insane. And then, so we did that for a little bit, and Steve ran a bunch of buildings. Steve had a little bit of a dependency problem, and that really interfered with everything that was going on. And he became less and less disciplined, and then eventually he ended up ODing and passing away. So obviously the company closed, the school closed, the company closed, and it was around for about 3.5, 4 years, from 2004 to 2007, 2008, something like that. I was around for the first year or two, and then I kind of because I was watching what was happening, and it was like, I don't know if I can be involved in this, Yeah,
yeah.
And he sound like I'm crapping on him, but he became undependable, unreliable,
So, and we've talked about this on the show. Substance abuse is a huge problem, it is a disease.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's so unfortunate because that kid was so talented, such a mind for the business. Like he was doing vignettes of independent guys, like local independent guys. He took Justin McIsaac, who's now a New Hampshire sports broadcaster winner, like broadcaster of the year kind of thing, and he had him wrestling as Justin Shape, right? So he ran a cult of fat guys, and he called them the Fat Squad. But I remember one of the vignettes was him working out, and he was bench pressing, right? And they show the weights on either end, and it's 3 plates on either side. They show him pressing it, right? And he's doing reps with it, and they put it up, and then he's doing the thing. Well, then they show what you actually didn't see, and it's 2 guys on either end lifting it for him. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just stuff like that. It was just brilliant that you just didn't see. So after he passed, whatever, it became dormant forever. Like Steve was still talked about, and WFA was talked about. It almost became legend, right, for those guys that were around. And then Scott Reed, who was one of Steve's first students, phenomenal wrestler, ended up opening up the school, and he said, well, why'd you stop at a school? He said, let's open up the WFA, let's start all over again, and in honor of Steve, and just to bring it back to New Hampshire, because wrestling hasn't been really consistent in New Hampshire in forever.
No, it's been a while. I mean, it's here and there.
Yeah.
And I know, because I guess I've said on the show is people, we just want to stretch the point how important Steve Bradley was, because a lot of people, and I know he's not around anymore, but the importance of a Brian Fury, very important to again what happened in New England wrestling. I know a lot of people tried to but he is very important. He was trained by Steve Bradley.
Absolutely.
Well, he's also trained by
He was trained by Jeff Costin and stuff, but finished by Steve Bradley. Alex Arion went to Al Snow's school, right, and learned whatever he could from Al Snow. So he came back, and Alex Arion was really good. Steve made him phenomenal. Alex at one point was probably the top independent wrestler in.
I've heard people say that Alex Arion is one of the guys you're I just can't believe they never wanted him. Which you just sometimes insane. It feels like in the wrestling business, and you guys might agree, it's it's just the right person to see you at the right time.
Yep. That's exactly it. It's think about it. There's one job, and there's 18,000 people trying out for it. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like going to trial for American Idol. They tell you to sing for 4 seconds. Okay, thank you. But they don't know that maybe you can belt out I don't know, what's a high note?
I don't know.
I don't know singing.
Yeah. Oh,
you don't want to hear any of us sing.
But so Alex Arion, right? Then you have Brandon Locke, who again started with me and Bob Evans. We ended up closing our shop, and then I brought him to Steve, and I said, Steve, just take care of this kid. He's 15 at the time. Brandon Locke, again, another one of the best wrestlers in New England, right? Scott Reed and Frankie Arion and all these kids, the lineage that breaks out from there. Like I said, Brian Fury. Brian Fury goes on then to train at the Nepois, and all those kids that came out of there. He had a hand on Sasha Banks, Christian Casanova, Josh Briggs, along with Mike Hollow had Josh Briggs, and
And we say Christian Casanova, we mean Carmelo Hayes at this point, because now he is like a household name becoming that. So.
It's insane. It's just he like the I don't want to say pillars, but essentially the guys from New England. The Jeff Costas, the Steve Bradleys, the Mike Hollows, and those guys that like you can trace that lineage down all the way, obviously down from Walter Kowalski, who was essentially the godfather of New England training. And but all of it, Jace, is all just trickles up.
It is really crazy to see because I feel like New England, at least wrestling perspective-wise, doesn't get a lot of credit for a lot. For years, well, I guess he did say he was from Connecticut, but Triple H's from Nashua.
Yeah.
We always wanted our Roses there, but we never really got them.
Yeah.
But now, he admits that he's there. But so much has happened here, and like you said, that it comes from Kowalski all the way down, and there's just so much. And it's so cool that you guys are bringing it back because this is probably something people haven't thought about in a long time.
Yeah.
I do want to ask Sonny one more question about this.
Billy, oh, it's okay. I'll get my time. Don't you worry.
All right.
But what do you think, Sonny, right now? Because you've seen so much.
Yeah.
We're not dating you.
No.
But what's the difference between when it closed its doors back when it happened? What's the difference between that now and what's the difference between independent wrestling now and then?
So locally, way more choices, right? I was just talking about this recently. Like back in the day when Steve was running, there was Steve, there was Sheldon Goldberg running, there was Jeff Costa running, and then on the South Show you had Joe Eugenio and Silvana Souza, and then you had Freddie Sparta running, again sporadically, but all WWF house shows essentially, like talent shows, and you really didn't have much else around here. So if somebody called me, because we didn't have cell phones, and if somebody called me and said, "Hey, I've got a booking April 30th, can you take it?" I would pull up my little black book and say, "April 30th, I have nothing. Yes, consider me booked." That would be the last time I have to talk to that guy until the day of the show. Now, trying to get somebody booked on the show, I can't get people to respond to emails. I can't get people to respond to direct messages, text messages, and then they'll say, "Well, let me check my calendar. I don't usually like to book that far out." I'm like, we're talking 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, that's not that far out.
Yeah.
But they want to hold out for better options because there's so many choices, right? You've got that group out of Worcester. Drew Cadera runs it. Wrestling Open and Beyond.
Wrestling, yeah.
They do a great job, right? And that's everybody's golden pony. Everybody wants to wrestle there because they got the indie buzz. They got the eyes on them.
I see people promoting them that don't even live in this area.
Yeah. It's insane. I mean, what did they have? Over 2 million subscribers on YouTube at one point?
Crazy.
Like that.
That's impossible. That's insane. Then you've got the group Chaotic, right? What used to be, I think used to be the standard, right? Everybody wanted to work on that because they put on a decent show. I personally don't know how they're doing now. I don't know. But I would assume that there's people out there too that's their goal. We want to be that destination. We want to have people, all those people that I reached out to that didn't want to wrestle or didn't respond to us or held us up for $25 more or whatever. In 6 months, I want them calling us, going, "Hey, what's the chances of me getting on that show?" Yeah. And I'm going to say, "Can I swear in here?" No.
No F-bombs or anything like
that. No. Say piss off. Yeah, but. Yeah, it's just, chances are I'm probably still going to take them, but I'm going to make them earn it. You know what I mean? And it's just, so that's that's the biggest difference is the availability of guys, the availability of shows, and then at the time too, we also took a lot of care to make sure that, Eugenio's running on Friday night. If we want to use any of their guys, we can't book Friday night, so let's book Saturday. Those kind of things. Now it's just, I don't think people care. People just.
And wasn't and I want to give a shout out to Randy Carver and Limitless Wrestling because he's got a stranglehold on Maine.
In Maine, absolutely,
because he does a fantastic
Maine
job.
used to be the death of professional wrestling in New England.
Yeah,
nobody ever wanted to go to Maine. Maine was
those matches
the worst.
Weren't pretty. If you look at them.
No, it was terrible. And Randy's done a great job, a phenomenal job. Taking it up to some kind of elite, some kind of status.
I just want to ask this real quick because you were around there, and I want to get to a few other things. But at the time, Jamie Danowski, wasn't he given guaranteed money to not work at other places?
Who?
Did I say his name right? who was the guy that owned Chaotic?
Jim Mikowski. Yeah.
Jim Mikowski. Okay,
Yeah.
was he really like?
That I don't know. I know
Okay.
that they definitely had a working relationship.
Like I've seen posts as like I couldn't go like someone shared something like I should have gone and done this like you know how
Yeah.
wrestlers are on
Yes.
social media. And I go, wait, he was guaranteeing you money for independent wrestling?
So when Chaotic first started, and I don't even know if Jamie was involved in. There was like 5 owners. They were offering guys contracts, like on independent wrestling,
Yeah.
which is insane. It wasn't much money, but like I remember like Wagner Brown was signed to it.
Yes, I saw one of his posts.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which was weird, but I don't think Jamie had that deal. But I think it was more of an issue of, well, I don't want to miss out on the Chaotic booking because I don't know when I'm going to get that chance to work there again. Because again, Chaotic at that time was the standard.
Yeah.
So people just would work there versus anywhere else, you know.
Because I've heard him talk about it on a podcast where he's like, we're going to be he believed he was going to be the next ECW.
Yeah.
Which is it's just a lot of this New England wrestling stuff is just it's fascinating stuff. When
Yeah.
if you're a fan of pro wrestling, which we all are,
Yeah.
it's fascinating to think of what people went through.
Yeah,
to
and
make it
that's the
work.
thing. I always looked at it as I don't want to be the next anything. I want to be the first.
Us.
You know, us. And I think that because if you're striving to be the next this, you're just chasing.
Yeah.
I want to create and you know and set our own bar. You know, and that's with the school, with the promotion. Scott and Coach Hollow are all in this agreement on this as well. Like, we want to be the first this.
I like it.
Us. So as opposed to following anything and creating, you know, like our facility up in Concord is unlike any facility around here. It's 7,000 square feet, 3 rings, possibly with a 4th one coming in the spring. It looks like a mini arena.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
we could produce like an NXT show in that building, no questions asked. And but we don't say we want to go out there and be the next NXT. We want to be the Elite Pro Wrestling Academy. We want to be WFA. You know, and just like I said, I want those people coming to us looking for bookings.
No, I like that. And I'll ask Will this first,
Sure.
because Will's part of it too.
Yeah.
What can we expect from the promotion so far?
I mean, it's going to be different. You're going to see a lot of wrestlers that you like and know from around here. I mean, people like Channing Thomas, BRG, Ryan Drew, Elliot Markopoulos, Ryan Waters. But then you're also going to see a lot of guys that you might not have heard of, and this is through a lot of the connections that, you know, Scott Reed has, Mike Hollow has, Sonny has. So if you're really interested in, you know, pro wrestling, independent pro wrestling, you're going to get introduced to names that you might not have heard of or seen around here, and you're going to see them here probably first.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool. In addition to that, you're going to see some production value that you probably haven't seen on a regular basis that you've seen in terms of you know, some other promotions in the area.
We got a kick-ass crew.
Yeah, and it's
Like a
just
kick-ass crew.
and the thing is too, like, I'm not doting on anybody else. I'm not wishing, you know, poorly on anybody else.
Plenty
But
of
it's-
room. Plenty of room for everybody.
Yeah,
exactly. There's plenty of room for everybody, and iron sharpens iron. If anything, it's going to raise everybody else by saying like, hey, look at what they're doing.
Yeah, what
can we do to improve our show, make it better, make it different, so that, you know, more guys can be getting paychecks from professional wrestling. Like that to me is the thing that's like, if you can spread that and make it a bigger community and make it a bigger thing than it has been, you know, that's awesome. Professional wrestling is probably, you know, it has in the biggest boom it's seen in, you know, 20, 25 years at this point. You know,
I'd say it's still very popular.
Yeah.
Now I got to ask this. Now, say my friend Steve Smith has been training at the Elite Pro Wrestling Academy, and I want to go to a show. Am I going to get a chance to see him in maybe a battle royal, maybe a squash match? Is that something that's a possibility as well?
Yeah. So essentially, the school, and any school should really look at this like this. We're creating the new crop of talent, right? We've got Billy Duncan there, we've got the politician, we've got Keon,
Shout out to the politician. He shared this post.
The politician.
Yeah, I like him. I haven't met him, but it seems like a good guy.
Hardest working man.
It's insane. This kid is crazy, insane, but so good. But we got guys that just. We've got Jose. We've got. Who am I missing? I know I'm missing.
$1 Million Brawler.
Yeah,
Malik Logan, Lorenz Markel.
Yeah, we've got I said Keon. We've got these guys that are like, these are going to be the next crop of guys, right? We've got a 15-year-old kid who's training with us right now, who's I could see in 3 years being a guy, right? Like a guy that's getting trained. Right now he's exactly what you think a 15-year-old kid is, right? Not really athletic. He's never played any sports really. And to see that opportunity, it's like a ball of clay, and we get to mold him, right? And as long as it's just like anything else. You get in what you put out. So as long as he puts in what he wants to get out of it, sky's the limit. I mean, for any of these guys.
When I see a kid like him, I think of somebody like AG. Who's,
AG said he never played sports.
Yeah, exactly.
AG was the pudgy little kid, like looking for autographs at all the shows when I was working.
A guy like Ilya, who's been doing it since he was 13, 14 years old. Like that's where you see it and you go, okay, you might not, it might take him a couple of years, but he's going to be that much more well off for it. Like like I wish I started at 13. I started at 33. Like it's that's the only thing. It's like time's only gonna
like you were saying though, we have people coming down from Canada, we have people coming up from Connecticut, New Jersey, New York. So we're pulling from talent that when we put out the talent search, we got a guy from Florida, we got people from Portland, Oregon wanted to come out to wrestle for us, and we were like, well, you can drive if you want. I mean,
it's like we can't pay for your flight.
We're not booking your flights or anything.
Hey, I mean, didn't Flip Gordon fly out here to train here?
Yeah,
from wherever he was from.
Yeah, Arizona,
Texas,
whatever
Arizona.
it was. Yeah, right. It's just. I mean, it's going to be different. We have this team coming in for the end of the January shows from Jersey. They're training with Danny Cage right now at the Monster Factory. A set of twins called the Kelly Brothers. They're going to be game changers. Yeah. Nice. These guys. So it's all these relationships that we've harnessed over the years. I've never personally even met Danny. Actually, I did meet Danny Cage, but I text him, once every couple of months, just, hey, how's everything going? What are you guys doing down there? How are you finding things? Right? Danny runs a very successful school down there, the Monster Factory. Coach knows him pretty well, I guess. Yeah. I got introduced to him, and then so we just kind of just talk to each other. I go, hey, I need some talent that New England hasn't seen before. What do you have? He goes, here's these guys. I reached out to another kid I met at a show, and I'm like, I know you're training guys. What do you have? And he sends me a boatload of guys, And it's just, then you just have this pool of people that want to work, that are passionate, that are willing to travel from Ohio, for a small payday to come here for the opportunity because they love professional wrestling. So you're going to see this is what guys want to do. Guys want to wrestle.
Yeah, and then even in addition to that, you say guys want to wrestle. Guys do want to wrestle. Of course, I want to wrestle. Yes. But even being involved with, Elite Pro Wrestling Academy, the WFA, there's other opportunities too. So for instance, I play a heavy part with the backstage production and stuff. And I even say that too. And who we forgot about, left out, is the Rappin' Ref Ronnie Maestro, who is again.
Yes, I forgot. And
one of the and Kayla, hardworking kids. Have taken every opportunity given to them to be a part of it, to referees, training to be a wrestler too. But it's awesome to see that if you're there and you put in the work, there's going to be something there for you eventually. And it's adding value in whatever way you can. Yeah. So.
I do have one other question for you guys on this. Obviously, since the last time the promotion ran, social media has now exploded. What are we looking at? Because a lot of promotions, Limitless, Chaotic, whatever the promotion is, they're using Facebook, they're using, I don't like Twitter, they're using Instagram, they're using YouTube. Are you guys going to have content? Because obviously someone's going to buy a ticket, but obviously you got to continue to promote the show. Right. And I know back in the day it was like, don't film at my show, because they thought they were losing content. But the
Mm-hmm.
social media age has changed that, where it's like, no, I promoted when I was going to Chaotic a lot. I'd put that out there, and then people were like, I need to be there.
Yeah.
How are you guys doing with that?
So we're in the process of determining how we're actually going to get the product out there, whether we're going to use Twitch or Twitter or YouTube or whatever the
Twitch
case
or
is.
YouTube or Facebook and there's tons of options, and there's tons of ways to get the brand out there and get people's eyes on the product, whether it be through social media posts or again YouTube, live streaming, all of that. And it's all stuff that we've been considering and stuff that we're really excited about, just because we have the crew that can do that.
Yeah, it's amazing. The crew we have, as far as production goes, I'm more excited about them than any of the wrestlers.
I'm excited to see this.
It's insane. Just like the talent. Like, this was me. I was like, hey, Will, this is Christian, Caleb, this guy. And then they just talk nerd stuff. And I just go, I don't know what anybody's saying.
We talk nerd stuff, that's true, yeah.
Yeah, like they just have their own HD, SD. I was like, okay, I'm going to go teach a leg lock. Yeah. And it's awesome. Like, these guys they talk their own language, and they just know everything. Like, it's just amazing what they can do. One of the things we talked about doing is we're going to do a weekly, almost like a recap show.
Yeah.
That's an awesome idea.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be quick, like 20 minutes or something like that. We're going to film a couple of students' matches at school, so you'll see Billy Duncan there until he's ready to get on a show. Mm-hmm. So he'll have a match with, say, whatever, the Keon or whatever the case is, and we'll play that match in its entirety, but we'll take pauses in between to say, hey, if you missed the show in Nashville last week, here's what's coming up, or here's what you missed.
I love that.
Without giving away, here's our whole 2.5-hour show, but we're going to give the highlights of it, right? So we're going to do like because I think the studies show that people start turning off the TV or what they're watching after about 22 minutes. That's why if you watch any comedy specials right now, all the heavy hitters, they hit all their big jokes right off the bat, and then because people are tuning out, so they tail off with the other stuff, right? But so we're going to kind of do the same thing. We're putting that all together. We actually at the facility, at the school, we actually have a green room essentially.
Yeah, that's
it's
awesome.
big enough to be able to do all this stuff. We have all the equipment. We have a little light that says
on air.
On air.
Flip it on, and
it's cool. It's going to be completely different. Like when I started with Costa, we'd drive down to the Hudson Lions Club, and we had his ring loaded up in a van or in his GMC Jimmy, the old style, and because it was a breakdown ring into 4 sections, and we'd get set up at 10 o'clock in the morning and be done set up in an hour, and then that was it. Like the only setup we had was the ring.
The ring.
There's nothing else. There was nothing else. So then we would sit around for 6 hours or 7 hours before the doors open because there was nothing to do. Now we're going to get at the building tomorrow around noon. We're going to be running our tails off right up until showtime.
Oh, yeah.
Like right up until those doors open. We're going to be putting stuff together because there's so much that goes into it.
Yeah.
And because I want to talk about Will's training too, I want to ask real quick. I'm rocking Brian Malonis, big fan of his.
Oh yeah,
everybody is.
For the audience at home, who are just a few, let's say, headliners in New England that we should expect to see there.
I mean,
so we're going to talk Brian Malonis.
Brian Malonis.
You're going to see Nico Silva. You're going to see Ryan Waters. You're going to see Channing Thomas with Sidney
and these guys have been performing a lot at the Atlantic Pro Wrestling.
Never heard of it.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, they have been performing, and that's
there's no crossover. You guys in different areas.
Right, exactly. No, they are. And it's inevitable that we're going to share talent because these guys want to work, right? The ones that want to work are going to work. Ideally, what I would love to happen is these guys that we're bringing in from Jersey and New York and those kind of places, if they can get on audience, if they can get on a show Thursday night with Drew, then wrestle for us Friday, Saturday, and then maybe pick up a Sunday show on their way home or something like that. So that's a loop you're doing. You know what I mean? And it just grows. But as far as back to the talent, you're going to see, let's say BRG, Sidney Bacabella, Channing Thomas, Ryan Waters,
Little Mean Kathleen,
little LMK. You're going to see a lot of the standards, but a lot of new people as well.
Real quick, Sonny, one name, if you could throw out one name that's going to be like, this is the guy that you guys might not know, but keep an eye on.
Up in this area?
For your shows.
Yeah, I would say,
I know, I don't want to start deception here, but people are going to go into that show and they,
I love BRG, and I think actually from our school, I think Keon right now is a kid who's young, athletic. He's a sponge, much like all these guys are, you know. But Keon at this point is to the point where he's just starting to work shows, and the kid is he's going to do really well.
Okay.
He's a kid that you need to look out for.
Wasn't trying to ask like who's your favorite child.
Yeah.
No,
like that.
No, I think they all suck. But, yeah.
I want to ask Will, how is your training going so far?
It's been it's been great. I mean, like I said, it's been just over a year now. Met Sonny and Scott and Coach Hollow through my old school, the Next Gen. When I heard about the opportunity from Elite, I was like, yeah, there's no way I can't join, and was with Next Gen 2 for a time, and it's been great, and it's been awesome. Not even just training with them, but I've had nights where we've had people like Kenny Doan come in.
Spirit Squad, if you don't know.
We've had Fandango come in, Dirty Dango. We've trained with Brian Malonis before. Trained with
George Joel.
Yeah, George Joel's just been in the ring with a lot of guys who are doing this or have done this at the highest level. So it's cool to get that experience, and I think that's one of the things that really outside of that kind of Central Florida, this area is a hotbed for that talent, because you don't I mean, a place like California is the size of goes the entire West Coast, but the New England and then New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia area, that's really kind of where it is, in my opinion at least. But yeah, it's just in one short year to see what I've been able to soak in, and going from I could go back and I'm sure there's either some pictures or videos of me barely even being able to do a front bump, and now I feel like being able to help out and explain and break things down with the kids, the other students I should say, not kids, in the class with us, it's great, and to me it's it's awesome, and it's not just that, but the physicality of it, and getting back into not just the the wrestling gym, but the actual gym and lifting and stuff, and has been great for my mind, great for my body, and just it's awesome.
Just the transformation I've seen in Will just in the year that I've known him. From when I first met him, I was like, oh, he's got the dad bod, 33 years old, 34 years old. And just to watch the transformation, he's dropped 50 pounds or something like that.
Yeah,
close to 50 pounds.
50-something pounds, yeah.
And then those things that, like, you're talking about the same things month after, or day after day after day after day in training, and then to see it click one night and they just do it on their own, it's amazing, because that's when I know that the balls, I don't know what
it's
the word
turning.
is.
Yeah,
it's turning, right? It's starting to
any
click
kind of
for
coach,
it.
that's like the best feeling.
It's amazing, right? Because I say this all the time. I'm like, I know we're repeating ourselves. But it's worth repeating because it's the right way. So when they finally get it and it clicks and they go, I just go, oh man.
Yeah.
And it's going to be so much easier for them from this end out.
And I know I say there's like a physicality to it, because there definitely is. Absolutely is. But that even more than that, ability to do something physical is that ability to be coachable, which is, you could have, the best athlete in the world or whatever, but, the most physically gifted person, but if they don't understand the psychology behind something, there's so many little intricacies to professional wrestling that, even watching it sometimes you can ruin it for you, because you're like, really? That's how they reacted to it? Like, so
it's the worst.
Yeah. I want to ask one more follow-up question for Will.
Sure.
Sonny said he started when he was 20.
Yeah.
Like you said, started at 33. You got wife at home, Cassie. You got the baby.
Yep. Got a 5-month-old baby.
This is not.
Don't forget the dog. You got Junie Bud.
It's not the same as you have more responsibilities.
Yeah.
Right. What do you think what are the biggest challenges that you have towards training with all this?
Oh, it's definitely a balance, and it's something that, I'll obviously admit that I'm not the greatest at times, and it's definitely, one of the things that I've said before, And it didn't really click for me until, recently. It's that like wrestling's always going to be there for you. Like you can walk away for a little bit, or you can take a step back or slow down or whatever. But as long as you're still involved, it's still going to be there. You might just have to go find it again. So for me, it's been a balance. It's been, maybe I can't, be actually working in a wrestling ring, 4 nights a week or something, but I can still be in the gym lifting a couple nights a week. I can still be watching matches and studying tape and that kind of stuff. I can still be, designing my own gear and working on my gimmick and cutting promos in front of my, my mirror as I'm brushing my teeth at night. So there's plenty you can do. And I think just, from had I wish I had done it, 10 years ago, absolutely. And I had even, I looked into it multiple times. Yeah. And I don't know, I think back then it was just the distance, closest school was,
was North Andover.
Yeah, North Andover, being, Nashua or whatever. So, the thing that, that Next Gen and now Elite have given me is that, that local, place to go and do it. So, it's been great, and just finding a balance. I definitely think I'm there at that point, because it's there's definitely priorities in life, and figuring those out definitely is paramount to
that's the thing. Having students of, I mean, when I say they range from you name it, we have it. I mean, so letting these people know that your life comes before this, right? You have to take care of your wife. You have to take care of your newborn baby. You know what I mean? We have a student that was living in his car. You know what I mean? And because he wanted to be involved, and I had to sit him down and tell him, like, hey man, you need to get your stuff together first, because wrestling will be there. We're not going anywhere, right? Wrestling is going to be there. It's been here for 100 years. It's going to be here for 100 more. You're not going to miss out on anything. Get your stuff together and then join us. And now he's back, right? Because he got his stuff together, and things are working out for him. And sometimes it's a coach, right? You have to give that little bit of, kick in the butt sometimes.
Your mentor.
Yeah, exactly, right? So like, Will, I actually, Will now to me is a friend of mine. Like if wrestling wasn't there tomorrow, I'd still hang out with Will.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get him to cook me some burgers on his grill and whatever. But but it's very much just like anything. You wrestled, you play softball now, right?
A lot of softball.
Did you play baseball too?
Oh yeah.
Right. So the coach must tell you it's whatever you put in is what you get out, right? So, but we respect that, because Will is 34 years old now, right? 33, whatever.
I'll be 34.
Do you treat a younger student different?
No.
Good. Okay.
No. We run them like everybody's the same, right? Because everybody, the way we look at it, starting from ground zero, right? But now Will's been a year in, so I can take Will, because physically I've got I'm recovering from a shoulder surgery. I need a left knee replacement. So I can take Will and go, Will, take young Will in there. There's Billy Duncan and there's young Will. And, I could say, take young Will in there, teach him tie-ups and, go over some arm reversals and stuff. Because physically, I can't get in there. Yeah. Scott is recovering from knee surgery, a patella tear, and then coach is in there all the time, right? So, we're open 4 nights a week. So between the 3 of us, one of us is always there. So, but 2 of us are right now, we're physically incapable of getting in the ring.
Yeah.
So to have a guy like Will or Billy Duncan, and have a guy like the politician to be able to get in there and coach, and you could see they're natural coaches, like super patient and those kind of things, and that's like seeing them be a good person is good. It's awesome. It's awesome.
And I like how you say that, you treat us the same that you treat, the young guys or the older guys or whatever. And I think there's a thing to be said there for it. It's because there's a mutual respect. And, you could be gone for however long, but you still respect the business. You still respect yourself. You still respect the school and the company. Like all of that, that it definitely, that's why we can treat each other, the way that we do.
I love to hear that. And I think it's awesome that this is going on in New Hampshire now, because it's going to give the next generation. I know, like, we've had Next Gen on, we've had you guys on. We have had New England Pro Wrestling Academy on. It's really cool to see what's going on because I think we had a conversation with you before. It was like, you know, if the national school was still going when I graduated college, I probably would have gone down there.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's all about finance. So I think this is fantastic. And it's just going to keep pushing this area to just be, like you said, a hotbed for wrestling.
Yeah.
I want to have a little fun segment. We got a couple minutes left here.
Sure.
Called Buy or Sell. I'm going to ask you both a word. You're going to tell me if you're buying or selling. AEW, All Elite Wrestling.
I'd buy.
Yeah, buy. Yeah.
Buying?
Yeah.
You?
Buy.
So, yeah, I still would. I think it has a lot of value.
Yeah.
I just think that Tony Khan is not the best owner.
It's
he's got a lot of money.
It's funky.
I think he's probably spread a little thin at this point.
Yeah.
I think they went into it with an idea, and the long-term execution maybe just
it's hard.
Yeah.
He needs to. I think he needs to put and I don't know because I don't know the inside, but it sounds like he doesn't, or maybe he doesn't have a solid team in place as far as everything goes. It sounds like he's putting those places like Pat Buck, and I know BJ's there, BJ Whitmer's there, and those kind of guys. So to have those people in place and build the team, you know, because you can't do it by yourself. Nobody can do this by themselves.
And I think that's what he's trying to do, and the guy has a lot of responsibilities.
Yes.
Yeah.
Green apple Skittles.
I buy. I definitely. Oh wait, no.
Green apple Skittles, not the lime.
What are the original?
Original was lime, and they
Original was
changed it.
lime.
Now they're back to lime.
Oh, sell. I want
Thank
lime.
you.
Lime.
All right,
Thank you.
Yeah.
we're proving that point. I'll let
garbage. Yeah.
Give me lime.
Green apple Skittles were disgusting.
Yeah.
New England Patriots of this year.
Have me on next week? No.
They're going to be playing a very fired up Bills team now.
Yeah. Sell.
Me too.
Yeah.
You selling Belichick? Or you think I sell Patricia?
I sell Patricia.
Yeah.
Get me Bill O'Brien or get me Josh McDaniels back, and then we'll talk.
I know. I was hoping the Raiders would fire him.
Yeah.
Rafael Devers just got a huge contract. 11 years.
Yeah.
How much was it?
131 million. Was that it? I've been ripping people on Facebook. I said, don't you talk bad about John Henry, because I know when this team sucked when I was a kid. And and a lot of you adults knew that too.
Right. Yeah. I remember being able to buy tickets for like $7.
Yeah. Now
and you could walk up day of.
Yeah.
You know?
Are you guys buying or selling this?
I'm buying on Devers, selling on the contract. Contract's big contract. Yeah. And when have those really worked out?
Never. They do for he gets hurt next year. That's 11 years.
So 11 years. Yeah. So I'm selling.
Yeah. He's young, but at the same time, it's in what about Xander? What about Mookie?
Should have signed Mookie then.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do this.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
I gotta ask this. I just brought it up because I asked about AEW, but I want to ask this: Tony Khan as an owner.
Buy. He obviously has a passion for the industry. Between
he seems like a guy with his action figures just playing random matches.
Well, he's got a wouldn't you though?
If he has enough money, he'd just create his own action figure for himself. Yeah. But I'm buying because I think he's everything's in the right place. Or once everything's in the right place, I think we're gonna see the actual vision. Yeah.
See, I would sell him, but he has no one else could have done this. There was no one
There's nobody else.
AEW doesn't exist without Tony Khan. I don't care what you say about the Young Bucks or Omega or Rhodes. They didn't have the money.
Their money. Yeah,
it wasn't their money. And the thing too that Tony has done is also given exposure to other wrestling brands you might not be aware of, whether it be New Japan Pro Wrestling or Impact Wrestling or Stardom or Triple A or
did you say Triple A?
Yeah. Yes.
Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
That's what he calls it, yeah. Think of all the Japanese women we've seen. I would have never seen those Japanese women wrestling, you know what I mean?
There is something, I guess I've always been a fan of growing storylines, and I feel like they do struggle with that. But when they're good with it, they're good. When they're bad with it, they're bad.
I'm really enjoying the Paige and Mox storyline right now, right? I think they're building it, and I think they're doing a good job there. Jericho with Andretti, the kid. I think they're doing a great job there. The storyline. So.
The slow burn between Keith Lee and Swerve that finally kind of boiled over.
Just give me my CM Punk back. Yeah. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care if he's an a-hole. When he's on TV, I want to watch it. Yeah. Current New England independent wrestling scene. Buying or selling?
Well, buying because we're a part of it.
Yeah.
I guess that's a slam
like we gotta.
Are you buying before you guys are in it?
Yeah, we're buying. Yeah, for sure.
No, I do agree. It's been a lot. I haven't been to a lot of shows since the pandemic.
Yeah.
It's hard. Like we used to be in a routine.
Yeah.
I see Sonny every week. Hey, you know, and then when that routine breaks, it's like
it's hard to get back into it. You
know.
They say it takes 21 days to build a habit, right?
Yeah, I think this. I didn't. You know, it was weird. I didn't mind the driving before, and now it's like, you know.
Well, we've got like 4 shows within like
30
miles of your house. So we'll see you at all 4.
When I saw the list and I saw New Hampshire, I go, yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, one's right Saturday, right down the street from you.
Not hard to find. So this one's for Sonny. Last question. We got a little bit of time. Buying or selling Billy Duncan?
Can I trade him on the black market? No, I'm buying Billy Duncan all day long. I'm buying him all day long. Yeah.
Well,
yeah. Big upside.
I'm wishing you guys all the success in the world. I will be in attendance. But Sonny,
thank you very much for having us.
Will appreciate coming on. Great to have you guys back. It's always a pleasure. We'll do this again. But everybody out there, I want you to have a great week. Again, happy birthday, Brady. I love you. And until next time, let freedom ring.